Steam curled from golden chips, vinegar stung the air, and scraps of batter crackled like hidden treasure. But one tradition still divides Britain from Yorkshire to Cornwall, and the winner will surprise you: Friday night fish supper. Steam hissed from the fryer, paper crackled, and the vinegary tang drifted into the night. Friday at the Chippy wasn't just dinner, it was ritual. Families queued after a long week, children pressing noses to the glass as golden cod fillets spun in Yorkshire's bubbling fryers. Up north, vinegar dominates the chips, have you noticed? Order 2 cod large chips and watch the parcel folded tight, hotter than a hand warmer and perfectly portable. Forget the newspaper myth. The secret is in the fold, locking in heat and flavour like a tiny magic trick. Tear it open, the batter crunches, the chips fluff, the tang hits just right. Friday night at the Chippy is more than food, it's tradition you can taste. Salt and vinegar. First! The vinegary sting hit your nose before the first bite, mingling with the salty aroma of freshly fried chips. Every Chippy asked the same question. Salt and vinegar? Never skipped, never forgotten. Some went light just to tease, others drenched their parcel, letting tang soak every corner. It was a small ritual defining a proper Chippy experience. The server's knowing glance, locals' nods of approval. It was tradition as much as seasoning. If you're loving these quirky Chippy tales, hit subscribe so you never miss a tasty story. But as satisfying as that tang was, the next surprise waiting in every Chippy went beyond taste. It wasn't on the menu, and only true Chippy fans knew the secret. Wrapped in paper. Vinegar's tang hit your nose, mingling with salty aroma and the sizzle of golden chips. Every Chippy followed the same unspoken ritual. Salt and vinegar? Never skipped, never forgotten. Some sprinkled lightly, teasing the taste buds. Others drenched their parcels, letting the tang seep into every corner. More than seasoning, it was a moment steeped in tradition, marked by the server's knowing glance and locals' quiet nods of approval. Pro tip: drizzle vinegar base first, so salt clings perfectly. Though putting salt first isn't wrong, just regional habit. And just when you think the ritual is over, another surprise awaits every Chippy goer, one that goes beyond taste. It isn't on the menu, and only true fans know this secret. Cod versus haddock rivalry. The sizzle of hot oil filled the air, mingling with salty chips and the faint smoky scent of fish, a sign the debate was about to begin. Cod or haddock? In the south, cod ruled, mild and flaky. Up north, haddock reigned, sweeter, stronger, often smoked to perfection. Families had loyalties, friends teased mercilessly, and strangers quickly learned not to pick sides lightly. It wasn't just taste, it was identity, pride, and habit baked into every Friday night portion. Ask the shop's specialty for the freshest fillet. Centuries-old habits even shaped which fish appeared where. And just when you think the parcel's secrets are spent, hidden surprises linger at the bottom of the bag waiting for the true Chippy fan to discover them. Mushy peas. The first glance was always green, vibrant, almost glowing against golden fish and chips, with a subtle warmth rising from the bowl. Spoonfuls of mushy peas offered creamy comfort, softening the crisp batter with every bite. Some mixed them straight with chips, letting heat create a gentle tangy blend. Others savoured each separately, enjoying the contrast. A pinch of salt or a dot of butter elevated the peas without overpowering the fish. Once mostly northern, mushy peas are now beloved across Britain, with recipes varying by region. Simple yet iconic, they make a humble Chippy meal feel complete, as grandparents smile and children poke curiously at the mash. And just beyond the bowl, another surprise waits, sharper, tangier and daring. Golden curry sauce steamed into the air, mingling with the salty aroma of freshly fried chips, promising comfort in every bite. In the Midlands and North, it wasn't just a condiment, it was a proper sidekick, thick, sweet and warmly spiced, clinging to each chip like it owned the place. Children dipped eagerly, adults ladled generously, and locals argued endlessly over the perfect balance of spice and sweetness. Extra sauce on the side let you play chef, adjusting heat to taste. Though it might sound exotic, this curry sauce is a British invention, made for fish and chips, and just when the last spoon disappears, another hidden tradition waits, crunchy, golden, and often overlooked by anyone who isn't a true Chippy fan. Gravy on chips. Steam rose from a mound of golden chips, rich gravy scent drifting into the air, promising indulgence in every bite. In the north, gravy wasn't optional, it was almost sacred, pooling around the chips and softening crisp edges into tender, flavourful bites. Some dunked their fish too, letting batter and sauce merge into messy, comforting perfection. To outsiders, it might seem excessive, but for locals, it was tradition at its finest. A little extra gravy on the side let diners control the soak without losing the crisp, and shops measured carefully to keep every bite balanced. Beneath the comforting sauce, a hidden golden surprise often lay in wait, crispy, unexpected, and ready for the keen-eyed diner who knew the chippy's secret. One bite, and the familiar comfort of northern indulgence suddenly had a playful twist. Scraps/bits. Hidden at the very bottom of every chippy bag, the scraps were a secret treasure, their golden crunch promising a tiny thrill before the main meal. Irregular, bite-sized pieces of batter, too small to sell but perfect for nibbling, often landed atop your chips with a knowing wink from the server. Children shook the bag eagerly, hoping for the biggest fragments, while adults smiled at the familiar crunch that made every portion feel extra special. Polite diners could even ask, "Any bits today?" Most chippies happily obliged, though not every shop offered them, making the treat all the more cherished. And while these little bites brought instant joy, another tradition waited quietly at the counter, far bolder, a tangy, sharp flavour that could make or break your chippy experience, reserved only for those brave enough to ask. Pickled eggs! Rows of glass jars lined the counter, glowing with brine and mystery, their tangy scent daring the brave. Pickled eggs, pale, firm, and sharply flavoured, weren't for everyone. The daring reached in with a coin and a wink, selecting their prize while children stared in fascination. One bite delivered a bold tang that cut through the richness of fried fish and chips, a surprising contrast to the usual flavours. Locals treated it like a rite of passage, a vinegary challenge separating casual diners from true chippy veterans. Asking for freshly pickled eggs ensured the crispiest tang, and though often seen as a northern oddity, they appeared in chippies across Britain. As bold as the eggs were, the next ritual waiting nearby was subtler, softer, and just as iconic, a creamy, comforting companion to every portion. Pickled onions and gherkins. Behind the counter, glass jars gleamed with tiny pickled onions and crisp gherkins, their sharp vinegary aroma teasing the senses before a single bite. Onions offered a tangy snap that danced across the tongue, while gherkins added a crunchy, acidic punch, making every mouthful more exciting. Some layered them over chips, letting flavours mingle. Others nibbled separately, savouring each distinct bite. For the perfect balance, a mix of onions and gherkins added a playful twist, though not every shop offered them fresh, daily. Asking ahead ensured the crispiest crunch. This subtle ritual, cherished by locals, made each visit feel authentic. While these tangy companions teased the taste buds, the next tradition waiting nearby was entirely different. Soft, indulgent, and guaranteed to melt in your mouth. A treat no chippy goer would dare miss. Chip butty! A humble loaf of buttered bread, warm and soft, cradled a mound of golden, steaming chips, the aroma of melted butter mingling with salty crispness. A true sensory delight. The chip butty was pure carb heaven. Some squeezed it tight, letting chips sink into the bread. Others bit gently, keeping the crisp edges intact. Families passed down the recipe, teenagers grabbed them on the way home from school, and even adults indulged in secret, grinning at the comforting mess. A light drizzle of vinegars helped the chips soak in flavour without sogging the bread. And though it lacked extra meat, the simple combination was legendary. And just when you thought comfort peaked, the next chippy ritual brought a bold golden crunch, one that split opinions across the country. Bread roll debate. Step into any chippy, and the air hums with the age-old question, bap, cob, balm, or bread cake? The soft scent of fresh bread mingles with frying chips, teasing the senses before a single bite. Names changed by region, but the purpose stayed the same, to cradle steaming chips or freshly fried fish perfectly. Southerners argued for soft baps, northerners swore by dense cobs, and each shop had its loyalists. The debate wasn't just semantics, it was identity, pride, and local tradition baked into every bite. Unsure, asked the server for the best pairing. And while balm might sound like slang, it's a specific soft roll made for chips. Choosing the perfect bread felt crucial, but the next chippy ritual had nothing to do with bread. A vibrant, green, creamy scoop that transformed every portion. Chippy tea on the seafront. The salt-kissed breeze, seagulls crying overhead, and the crinkle of paper as you unwrapped your chips. Chippy tea by the seaside was a full sensory ritual. Steam rose from golden fries, batter still crisp on the fish, while families and friends gathered on benches or sand, balancing paper parcels and ice creams. Children dashed to the water between bites. Adults savoured warmth against the cool sea air. And somehow every portion tasted better here than anywhere else. A little extra salt and dash of vinegar enhanced the flavours, though seaside chippies didn't fry differently. The magic came from the atmosphere and view. While the seafront created memories of flavour and freedom, the next chippy ritual brought comfort in a very different form, a thick, velvety sauce that could divide even the most loyal locals. Wooden forks. Tiny, splintery and faintly aromatic, wooden forks clicked against paper parcels, scooping chips and fish, sometimes snapping under a particularly hefty portion. Children poked curiously, adults fumbled politely, yet everyone accepted it as part of the ritual. There was something charming about the simplicity. No cutlery to wash, no fuss, just a wooden tool connecting diners to generations of chippy lovers. A sturdier fork could make eating easier at busy shops without losing tradition, and though old-fashioned, wooden forks remain standard in many chippies across Britain. The texture, gentle clink against paper, and subtle scent became part of the memory of every visit. And while this little utensil helped you eat, the next tradition waiting quietly on the tray could completely change the flavour of your portion. Sharp, tangy, and surprisingly bold. Brown sauce or tomato ketchup. Every chippy visitor faced the eternal question, brown sauce or tomato ketchup? The tangy aroma of brown sauce mingled with salty chips, while the bright, sweet scent of ketchup teased the senses before a single bite. The debate went beyond taste. It revealed upbringing, region, and loyalty. Brown sauce clung to chips and fish with deep, savoury richness. Ketchup offered a cheerful, sweet punch, delighting children and casual diners alike. Families argued good-naturedly, friends teased each other, and every drizzle felt almost ceremonial. Little left you wanting, too much overwhelmed the meal. Many balanced the flavours by combining both, especially on thick-cut chips. And while brown sauce might seem old-fashioned, it remains a chippy staple. Loyalty split, but the next tradition transformed the meal entirely, not with flavour but where and how you ate it, turning a simple portion into a unique experience. Eating in the car, the smell of salt and frying oil, the crinkle of paper, and warm steam fogging the windows, eating fish and chips in the car was a ritual all its own. Parcels rested on laps, fingers poked at golden fries, and batter flakes scattered like confetti. Children pressed faces to the glass, parents balanced chips and drinks with careful precision, and everyone savoured the fleeting warmth before the cold evening air crept in. A small napkin or paper towel kept fingers clean while preserving the messy charm. Eating in the car wasn't lazy, it was a cherished tradition, especially in towns with few seating options. And sometimes a daring hand would sneak a secret bite, a hidden, crunchy fragment that made the car feel like the most magical place for a chippy supper. If you're enjoying these chippy tales, don't forget to subscribe for more quirky food stories. Fish cakes. Golden, crisp on the outside and soft, flaky inside, fish cakes were a chippy favourite that felt both humble and indulgent. Mashed potato blended with chunks of fish, seasoned just enough to tease the taste buds, then shaped into patties and fried until they gleamed. Children loved the familiar comfort, adults admired the simple elegance, and locals knew a well-made fish cake could rival even the freshest fillets. Some dipped them in ketchup or curry sauce, others ate them plain, savouring the contrast of textures. A dollop of curry sauce elevated the flavour without overpowering it, and though fish cakes seemed simple, they were carefully seasoned, often with as much care as any fillet. Yet beneath their unassuming shape, fish cakes often hid a small surprise, a seasoning twist or secret filling that made one bite unexpectedly unforgettable. Saveloy sausage! Bright red, shiny-skinned and impossibly long, the Savoy was a chippy icon all its own. Fried until the skin curled slightly and the aroma filled the air, it was both a snack and a statement. Children gawked at its size, adults sliced it carefully onto bread or tucked it alongside chips, and locals debated whether it was best plain in a roll or with a squiggle of mustard. For a true local experience, trying it in a roll with a dab of mustard captured classic northern style. Though often associated with children, Savoys were enjoyed across all ages. Its salty, spiced, slightly smoky flavour made it instantly recognisable, and every chippy had its own spin. Yet one quirky twist made eating a Savoy even more memorable, a small tradition that often divided opinions, leaving newcomers baffled and intrigued. Spam fritters. Golden, crisp, and unexpectedly comforting spam fritters were a wartime invention that survived into modern chippies. Slices of the iconic canned meat were coated in batter and fried until bubbling and brown, releasing a salty, savoury aroma that drew curious eyes. Children poked at them with wooden forks, adults sampled them with a mix of nostalgia and daring, and locals debated whether they belonged alongside chips or deserved their own spotlight. A splash of brown sauce or dab of mustard balanced the saltiness, and though they might seem historic, spam fritters remained a beloved treat in many northern chippies. Humble and unpretentious, they were utterly satisfying. And while some dismissed them as leftovers from history, one particular twist, sweet, tangy, or spear, could turn a simple fritter into a surprisingly unforgettable bite. Pineapple or banana fritters. Golden, crispy, and dusted with sugar, pineapple and banana fritters were the chippy's sweet escape. The warm, fragrant aroma of frying batter mingled with the tang of pineapple, the mellow sweetness of banana, teasing the senses before a bite. Children's eyes lit up, adults savoured the contrast of tart and sweet against the crisp coating, and locals often debated which fruit made the superior fritter. A mix of pineapple and banana in one fritter offered perfect balance, and though they might seem novel, fritters had been a staple in British chippies for decades. Served hot from the fryer, they were indulgent, comforting, and a little mischievous. Beneath the sugary dust, a hidden flavour or unexpected twist could turn a simple fritter into a bite that left everyone talking. Chippy chips versus oven chips. Fluffy inside, golden and crispy outside, chippy chips were in a league of their own. Oven chips, no matter how carefully baked, simply couldn't compete. Locals knew it instinctively. The sizzle of the fryer, bubbling oil, and the other way each chip carried just the right crunch made every portion irresistible. Families debated thick cut versus shoestring, children counted how many could fit on a fork, and even adults snuck extra servings. A pinch of salt or a light dusting of vinegar right before serving enhanced the crunch, and though not all chips were equal, fryer-cooked ones had a texture and taste oven-baked versions could never match. While everyone agreed on their superiority, some chippies added a secret finishing touch, a subtle sprinkle or unusual seasoning that could completely transform the taste. Open or wrapped? Every chippy visitor faced the familiar question. Open or wrapped? The scent of frying oil and vinegar mingled with the warmth of the tray or parcel, teasing the senses before a bite. Open meant a tray, a plate, and the freedom to mix, salt, and dip at will. Wrapped meant a handheld paper parcel, warm and steamy, perfect for eating on the go. Some preferred the open method, enjoying the sight, smell, and careful arrangement of chips and fish. Others swore by the cosy parcel, relishing the anticipation as each layer was peeled back. Wrapped kept portions warmer for longer, and folding wasn't careless. It was an art passed down in many shops. Yet some diners had a secret trick for unwrapping, a tiny ritual that could transform the entire eating experience. Ordering by weight. A bag of chips, a portion or just enough for one. The warm scent of frying oil and vinegar filled the air, teasing the senses before a bite. Ordering at the chippy was never about exact measurements, it was intuition. Locals knew how much filled a bag just right, how the chips would settle, and how the fish balanced on top. Children learned subtle cues for asking a little extra, adults debated the right portion for lunch versus dinner, and the server weighed with practiced ease, never needing scales. Asking for a full portion ensured it was never too much or too little. And though chippies didn't measure every bag exactly, it was an art perfected over years. Some shops had quirky stacking, layering, or seasoning tricks that could turn an ordinary portion into a surprisingly memorable feast. Fish bites / mini fish. Golden, crispy, and perfectly bite-sized, fish bites were a chippy favourite for children and anyone wanting a smaller portion. The scent of frying batter mingled with salty air, teasing the senses before a bite. Each piece carried flaky, tender fish inside a light, crunchy coating, easy to eat with fingers or a wooden fork. Parents appreciated the portion control, kids loved popping them one by one, and locals savoured the nostalgia of these miniature delights. A sprinkle of curry sauce on a few pieces added a sweet and spicy twist, and though often thought of as children's food, fish bites were enjoyed by all ages in many northern chippies. Yet some shops added a secret seasoning or unusual side that made even the tiniest portion feel indulgent and unforgettable. Potato fritters! Thick slices of potato dipped in batter and fried until golden and crisp. Potato fritters were a simple yet beloved chippy treat. The sizzling aroma of frying batter mingled with the warmth of the cooked potato, teasing the senses before a bite. Each mouthful offered a satisfying crunch followed by soft, comforting potato, a contrast that delighted children and adults alike. Some sprinkled them with salt and vinegar, others enjoyed them plain, savouring the humble comfort of fried potato elevated by perfect batter. A dash of malt vinegar enhanced the sweetness of the potato and the crispiness of the coating. And though often associated with the north, potato fritters appeared in chippies across the UK. Some shops added a quirky twist, a hidden flavour or unusual texture that made these fritters utterly unforgettable. Regional frying oils, the sizzle, as food hit the fryer, carried more than aroma, it carried tradition. In Yorkshire, beef dripping gave chips and fish a rich, savoury flavour and golden, crisp finish. Down south, vegetable oil produced a lighter, delicate crunch adored by the locals. Each region had loyalists swearing their oil of choice made all the difference. Families debated the taste, children noticed subtle differences without knowing why, and chefs passed down techniques for the perfect fry. Asking which oil a chippy used could change the whole experience, and the debate wasn't just nostalgia. Different oils genuinely altered texture and flavour. While the choice of oil defined the taste, some shops added a secret seasoning or finishing touch that could transform a familiar portion into something unexpectedly extraordinary. Queue outside the door. Nothing spoke louder than a line of locals stretching out the door, waiting patiently for their fish and chips. The scent of frying batter and salt-filled air teased noses as people shuffled forward, building anticipation with every step. The queue wasn't just about hunger, it marked reputation, a silent nod to quality and consistency. Families, friends, and lone diners chatted, laughed, or gazed at the fryer behind the counter. Children jostled for position, parents clutched parcels of warm chips, and everyone savoured the slow, shared rhythm of waiting. Some chippies offered a little extra scrap or seasoning to those patient enough, and though lines seemed long, it didn't mean slow service. Locals knew they were a part of the experience. Often a hidden treat or playful twist awaited inside the bag for observant diners. Holiday chippy runs. Arriving at the seaside, the first mission for many families was clear: the chippy. The salty breeze, the distant cry of seagulls, and the warm scent of frying oil and vinegar filled the air, teasing the senses before a single bite. Morning walks and the anticipation of steaming parcels brimming with golden chips and crispy fish made the journey feel like part of the ritual. Children ran ahead, dragging parents behind, eager to claim their favourite portions. Locals returning for the summer treated it as tradition, while first-timers quickly realised that no seaside holiday was complete without that unmistakable aroma and taste. A paper parcel by the promenade benches kept chips warmer, enhancing every bite, and seaside chippies weren't just for tourists. Locals swore by them year-round. Among the indulgent smells and sizzling oil, one little seaside twist often surprised newcomers, adding a playful, unforgettable note to the classic holiday portion. Step inside and the familiarity hits immediately. The scent of frying batter and salt-filled air greets you first, while the owner nods knowingly, already anticipating whether you like extra salt, a splash of vinegar, or a wrapped portion. There's no need to explain. Decades of serving the same locals have made it instinctive. Children marvel at the unspoken understanding, adults appreciate the ease, and regulars feel part of a quiet, unbroken tradition. It's more than convenience, it's a ritual that makes every visit feel personal and welcomed. Paying attention to the server's subtle cues often reveals a little extra treat or perfectly timed portion, and this isn't just nostalgia. Long-term staff truly know what works for each customer. While orders fly out with practiced ease, there's often a tiny overlooked detail on the tray, a hidden flourish that turns a familiar portion into a little local secret. The phrase chippy tea. To outsiders, it's just fish and chips, but for locals, chippy tea carries a rhythm, a familiarity, and a sense of occasion. The phrase evokes evenings spent balancing parcels of golden chips and crispy fish, the comforting smell of frying oil, and the chatter of families gathered around tables. Children learn it young, adults use it without thinking, and saying it aloud instantly signals belonging. It's more than words, it's identity, culture, and tradition wrapped into a simple three-word declaration. The phrase itself feels like a secret handshake, a nod to shared experiences and long-standing local habits. Pay attention to the terms locals used: chippy tea, chip supper, or fish tea. Each reveals a little about regional flavour and custom. So do you call it chippy tea too, or something else? Share your thoughts in the comments below and savour the stories behind every fry, every parcel and every bite. From golden chips to mushy peas, Britain's chippy isn't just food, it's folklore in every bite. Want more quirky chippy tales and forgotten flavours? Click the next video and keep the nostalgia alive.